Hi, this is Dennis from thesoundadvisor.com. I'm going to show you guys the Pultec EQ from Universal Audio. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks and some of the basic functions of it. So first off, if you've never used it before, you got to know that these three knobs right here, boost, CPS, and attenuate, are linked together. This bandwidth knob, boost, and high frequency are linked together. This attenuate and attenuate select are linked together. So basically there's three sort of functions of this. There's a low, a high, and a high attenuate. Now the low is, so you can set the frequency right here, and this is a shelving EQ. So I can set it to 100 and boost up 100, and it's shelving or raising everything below 100 hertz. And I can also then just attenuate that as well in a shelving type of EQ. Now one of the tricks of this EQ, and I believe it said it in the original manual, it said do not boost and attenuate the low frequency. You'd be canceling each other out, when in fact you're not. The boost knob actually boosts more than this attenuates. So it's doing something a little funky. It's running through more circuitry and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to color the sound a little bit by doing this sort of thing. And you can get some interesting effects that way. Now this EQ is simply, you can set the bandwidth, and this is a bell type EQ. And so let's say we set it at 8,000 cycles. I can change the bandwidth or the width of the frequency that I'm going to be affecting, and then I can only boost that frequency. So then we have this guy right here. And now we can just, all you can do on this, it's a high shelving EQ. So I can set it to 5,000, 10,000, or 20,000 and just attenuate that frequency. I use this a lot if you're looking for something just to warm up a vocal or something sounds a little too harsh or something. I usually put it on 20. I'll put this up to say 2 or 3, and it just sort of mellows out a sound. Now another thing to know about this is this in button. Now this is sort of like a bypass, but even in the plug-in version, it is coloring the sound in some way. I guess in the hardware version, the signal would still go through some circuitry, so they've kind of recreated that. This on-off over here is an actual hard bypass. It's like hitting this bypass button up here in Pro Tools. Now, if you want to just look at a parametric EQ right here, and I'll click on this so this will stay open. Click on this guy. So boosting the low end, say at 100 cycles, and cranking that up is essentially like taking this low frequency at 100. Let me just type in 100 there, and not reducing it, but bringing it up. So you can visually see kind of what it's doing. And attenuating at 100, just doing the opposite, just bringing it down like that. I'm going to turn that one off. I'll just come up to this high one, and I have that set to 8,000. So I'm going to type in 8,000 here, and I have it sort of on a wider bandwidth, and that would be something similar to the Q setting on this EQ. And see, I could widen it out or tighten it up depending on what I want to do. And usually sort of like that or sort of like that is a much more musical kind of EQ. It's not too harsh. And of course, you can bring it up, bring it down. You can't bring it down in that version. You can only bring it up. So let's say this is similar to this kind of thing. That's what that's going to kind of look like. So let me turn that off. And then this high pass, or low pass, I'm sorry. So if I set this to 5K, and I type in 5K over here, so it's essentially like doing something like that when I bring up the attenuation thing. And I can't boost it, I can only bring it down. So I can bring it down, and on modern EQs like this, you can also bring it up. So if I bring this up to say 10,000, and I type in 10,000 here, it's going to look something like that and sound similar to this. Now with this EQ, sort of the beauty of it is it limits you with the amount of frequencies that you can enhance or bring down. And that said, it's sort of like the frequencies that you should be playing with. And that's sort of the beauty of it. It's very musical in that way. So I hope you found it helpful. I have another video on parametric EQ. It might help you with some of the settings and stuff like that. So I hope you liked it, and look for some of my other videos. Thanks.